Welcome back to our Honest Review. I'm your host, HonestBrit, and in today's video we are going to be taking a look at Valheim, the Viking RPG survival sandbox game which has really taken the internet by storm right now. With roughly over 2 million sales, it is by far one of the most anticipated and best titles out there you can get if you're looking for that sort of experience with a sort of depixelated Skyrim. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So quickly, before we get into today's video, be sure to like, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and leave a comment down below on what in today's video you liked or what you feel could have been done better. And if you did disagree with any of my opinions at all, feel free to leave a comment down below. Let's start a nice little constructive argument, I'd say, of criticism and just letting people talk, to agree to disagree and have a nice dialogue going on about what we want from games. So future game developers maybe possibly could look at this video and use it as a framework to decide how they want to build their brand with games. So without further ado, what is Valheim? So Valheim is like a RPG sandbox survival Viking game. You play a character who has to survive in the world of Valheim. That's what they've gone for. It's like a world that is off like the Tree of Life. So when you're in game, you will see this big tree, and that is the Tree of Life. This is what people believe in Norse religion is what we are a part of. There's all different branches of the Tree of Life, and we are a part of one of those branches. And there's like different infected branches, and that's like a way to say that that world has like destroyed. That's their own version of how the world ends. So their theory, I think, is for the world ending is that the Tree of Life will eventually die, and that's their sort of theory about the world's end. So it's been around for many years in religions about how the world will end. You have Ragnarok from Norse religion, but then you also have later dates about the end of time itself, when the Tree of Life will eventually give way to, like, I can't remember, there's like a disease, I can't remember what they've called it, but yeah, without further ado, we'll talk about Valheim. So I'll continue talking about it. So Valheim is like one of your standard sort of sandbox Viking games, but it does bring a lot new elements you can expect from it. You start off with nothing and you can build yourself up to be quite an experienced Viking with abundance of weapons and tools, but in a sense you don't necessarily have to battle bosses all the time. You can still just gather resources, build yourself up, but instead focus more on a defensive gameplay. Build yourself a castle, because there are frequent raids by mobs, so you really have to look at where you're defending. I, for example, just built myself a mead hall, and as you might have guessed it, the AI came along and attacked it, and I just got absolutely smashed. So what I had to do then was build a moat, in a sense, for my mead hall, so that way I could protect myself. What I had in there, which wasn't a lot, but I was really proud of my mead hall. You'll see it in the video when they're playing through, like usual with my honest review videos. So it's, in a sense, you can gather resources, you can fight bosses. It's sort of like there's like a progression based system with skills, but in a sense everything is available to you from the get-go. You don't need to grind out XP to gain new tools. What you really need to do is you need to travel about, find resources. And in a sense, how it handles crafting progression is you build different attachments for the crafting table, and it will expand out over time, and then you'll be able to build more. Similarly, when you get to forging, you build a smelter, and then it opens up like a forge, and then afterwards you keep on building, you keep on adding on to that, which is a very good system for crafting progression, because it limits the amount of large space you need to take up, and you can quite literally build yourself blacksmiths huts and so forth, like in your actual base. And it does add an element of future sort of NPC settlement management. Maybe hopefully they do that, where you can recruit NPCs and they'll manage, like, you can build your own Viking settlement, and that would be really cool, because they've sort of set the framework for that, so I don't see why they couldn't do that in the future. But it's got naval base systems, so you've got the good old thing of where you've got the long ships that you are so commonly used in Vikings, but you've got this standard sort of rafts you can get, and you can travel anywhere around the world. It's procedurally generated, if you're wondering, so it means it will randomly generate. No world is the same, so it means you can, in theory, travel around your entire world, load up a new world, and you keep the items on your person. So you could go on a quest to a new server and find new resources there and bring them back to your server, which I find actually quite cool. It means you can quite literally go questing around the universe and go on adventures, fight new bosses. It does add such a brilliant element. I quite like that. I quite like what they went with that. But it does have its issues, and obviously it does have its pros. So we will be talking about that. I think I've covered the basis of the game. You obviously start off with, it's sort of the grassroots of the game: collect wood, collect stone, then you just go up, so and so and so on and so forth. And I'll go over a little bit about other bits near the end of the video, but for now I just want to get straight into pros and cons, and then we'll hopefully get back to it. So the pros, like usual, I always do the positive parts first, because I feel that is important as well about the game. I don't want to just completely put you off buying the game, because there are so many elements to this game that I think you, the audience, would really enjoy it, and I myself have enjoyed it. But like anything, eventually it goes stale, and you get a bit fed up of the same repetitive stuff that brought the charm in originally. So the pros: it's simplistic in its design, so anyone can grasp this game. You don't need to be a whiz at it. And when I mean simplistic to an extent, I mean like the base grassroots crafting. You don't need to be so bold as to understand how to build like an entire empire. You can just get on with it and enjoy yourself. You can play alone quite easy, but it can get a bit annoying when you are playing by yourself. So it is recommended to play with people. So it's just the sort of standard pickaxes and everything like that, and I really like that system. And with repairing it, you don't need more resources to repair items. You can just repair them standardly, which I think is quite cool, because in real life, yes, of course, you might need stuff to repair an item, but it sort of does transcribe across of, is the item really worth the cost of repairing when you can build a new one? So it's sort of, instead of going for that concept, what they've decided to do is just say it won't cost you resources to repair your items, because in theory you shouldn't need that. You shouldn't need to mass produce that item. You can just repair it. And I like the idea of that, because it means if, say, my iron pickaxe breaks and I'm in the middle of nowhere, it's a case of setting up a shelter, putting up a workbench, repairing my iron pick and getting straight back on, which I think is really easy and simplistic, and I quite enjoy that, because it takes out the frustration you might have of where you're like sitting there getting on and you're like, oh bugger, it's my axe is broken, or your sword, and then you haven't, oh, I've got to go all the way back now, I've got it here now and I've got to go all the way back, which I really enjoy, because I just hate having to play a walking simulator. I like to be straight in the thick of it. Number two, I've sort of touched it on my first point, the shelter building aspects. If you're on the shelter building, it adds a buff to your overall health as your character, so you need to really consider building yourself a shelter, keeping yourself warm and keeping yourself well fed, which I really like. It means that you can't just be endlessly running around. You have to build yourself base camps for the night, sleep, then get back out there. It really does touch on realistic elements while not overwhelming you to the point you're like, oh no, what do I do here, what do I need, which I find some games do take to the extreme, and it can get quite annoying, because we go on a video games to escape the normalities of life. We go to be entertained. We don't go to video games to expect the same sort of aspects of real life. We want something new and transcribe. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean like a game where like you have the AI completely steamroll you. I mean like where it's on equal footing, because in real life usually it is a case of being steamrolled. So of course you want to come on a video game where you can experience a completely different sort of environment to that. So that was my number 2 point about like, so I'll continue on about that, because I didn't touch on it too much, and I would like to make sure. And so with the shelter building, it's like, in the sense of how to describe it, like you do feel completely different. Like you say to yourself, once you've built your shelter and you can hear the rain, you can hear all this environment around you, you've got your fire, it feels really like you feel comfortable as well as the character does. And I really like that. It's sort of transcribing across to you of, I'm comfortable, so are you, and I really do enjoy that, because he doesn't enjoy that factor of, oh wow, oh, up against that warm fire, the rain's pouring on inside this really warm room, and I really enjoy that, because he doesn't enjoy being warm or cool, because it can get quite hot, you never know. But yes, sorry guys, a bit off there. So number 3, oh well, I guess it's fair to admit it's I did touch on this in the first point, but it really is it's an open experience. It's like you can play the way you want to play. And for example, one of those, I think is the main one, or the one that I'm thinking about, is the fact that I've seen people build massive castles but still only have stone tools, and that was it. They built generally incredibly big castles, and you think to yourself, wow, that's actually pretty cool. And you're saying, wow, that's cool, but they only have stone tools. And I like that, because sometimes you don't want to worry about any part of the game. You want to be able to play the game you want to play it. You want to be able to say when you want your iron tools, not have the game dictate to you when you should get them. You want to be inside of that, and I really like it, because I always want to be in control of my own fate, and I'm sure you guys do. That's why I've sort of started YouTube, because I want to be able to earn enough money that I'm in control of my own destiny, and I'm sure everyone wants to earn enough income to be able to say, I'm going to do it my way and that way and here and that. And it sounds quite narcissistic, but it's only human nature to be at the front leading forward, because humans always want to be in control of their own destiny. Because if you can control your destiny, it's the greatest feeling, because you know the outcome that is coming before you, so you can adjust yourself to it. So let's not go too in depth with human now. And I really enjoy that, because I'm a creative person, so if I want to sit there and spend a whole hour just building a mead hall, and that's it for the day, and then I come back and do something completely different next day, I can do that. The game doesn't hinder me for doing that. It really does set itself up to be really good game, because it sort of touches on what Minecraft did so well, but I think it's more of an adult version of that game, because you have the different elements of monsters, beasts, and you have the stats system, and I really like that, because in a sense I enjoy Minecraft, but it gets way too simplistic for my taste, and this game really balances up the scales between the two, which I'm sure you've all gathered from when the reviews you'll see out there about Valheim. Of course, I'm getting in on that bandwagon, but it really does it well, and I'm quite happy about that. And number 4, I'd say it's partially the price. For what you get right now in the industry, you'll see people pay 40 quid for a game in similar quality to what Valheim is, and these guys are offering about, I can't remember, like 20 quid I think it was last time I checked. Well, £20. Is that Great British pounds if you're American? I don't know the exchange rate off the top of my head. And that is an important thing. I always go back to the point, you pay more now to pay less later, and the point is you're paying 20 quid for a finished game. It's not like current titles released by a certain company, or I won't say their name, where you buy the base game but DLCs complete the game, and it's like, but I'm paying this amount of price, I expect the game to be completed. I don't want to feel like the game is incomplete and then having to buy a DLC to make it complete. I want the DLCs to bring a new mechanic to the game I could never think of. And the point is, people think of it like, oh well, people just want every game cheap. No, what I want, I'll be happily pay 60 quid for a game. I have for games like Scourge of Waterloo, which is a really good game. I would check out as like a strategy, very old pixelated title, but I would happily pay 60 quid for a game that is complete in its sense, so I can spend hours playing it and feel to myself, oh well, this feature is just a bit dull, isn't it? It's not complete in the slightest. What's the point? And then suddenly a DLC comes along and brings something new in element. Oh, I'll pay another 20 quid for it. And that's an easy net profit. About, well, we obviously take out cost for one person in itself. You've easily necked yourself about 60 quid. I think I said, well, no, did I say 60? Well, anyway, it says 60 quid if it's £40 the main base game, and then the 20 quid DLC comes on. But the point is, the DLC has to bring a new mechanic. Something that necessarily adds to the layers of the game doesn't fill in the layers of the game, and that's what you're missing. You don't pay someone to build a half-built house. You pay someone to build the full house, and then you pay someone else to come in and do the electrics and do the plumbing. You don't pay a builder to only build half the house, and that's the thing I feel game companies are doing. They're only building half the house, not the full house, and then using the plumbing to fill in the layer to build the rest of the house. If you get what I mean by that, that sounds really confusing. And the price, and that's why I really like the price, because I don't feel like I'm sitting there spending so and so money on a game where I'm only getting a half finished property, and I'm just sitting there afterwards like, oh, what do I do now? Because I'm gonna be honest, Hearts of Iron is like that, and I'm sure you guys have gathered it doesn't. The original Hearts of Iron 3, I could spend 8 hours just setting up quite easily in one time. And the point is, you say to yourself, oh, well, how did you do that? How could you do it? Because there was like different pictures, there was different elements. I could sit there, look at an infantry division picture, like, oh wow, these guys are gonna be brilliant fighting. Oh wow, and you know what I mean? Oh, sorry guys, that's a bit unprofessional, but you get my point. I really love the idea of just sitting there looking at these pictures of these divisions being built, looking at the different stats, researching different things, watching a World War II documentary as well. I loved watching World War II documentaries when I was playing Hearts of Iron. I'm sure you guys would agree, having like a documentary or just a TV show going. It's fine, because you'll be sitting there waiting for something to record. Then you'll be like, oh wow, my TV show's on. Oh, let's watch a bit of that for a minute. And I really enjoy that, because in a sense, it's what you want. I don't mind waiting around for a game if it's actually going to lead to if there is other elements to it that are complete and I can focus on. But so that's going to lead on to the finish of the pros, and when we're on that brief sort of period of time, I think I covered on the points I explained in detail about Valheim, about the crafting system, everything like that. I think I just explained it in my pros. And so yeah, we're going to go into the cons then, and I'll see if I need to cover anything near the end. So let's go on to the cons. Right. I don't know whether it's just me or if it's just you guys, but I can't find a burial mound. I found one so far, and it seems to be a recurring issue. It's like, bloody hell, what's the point in that? I really can't find any burial mounds, and I don't know why. I don't know whether it's just because my procedurally generated world's awful, but it's tedious, because I'll walk into the Black Forest, I'll try and find a burial mound, and I'll get chased out by a bloody troll. This just, well, I'll say the locals, because it isn't just a troll, it's grey dwarfs as well. Grey dwarfs will get really, really annoying very quickly. You'll find out why. And I just get chased out by them, but I'm used to it because I'm British and we're pretty much notoriously hated around the world and loved at the same time. It depends where you go. In France, it depends. Most countries, it depends. But you almost guaranteed there is one city or town in a country that hates the British, just because we're like we're like marmalade, isn't it? You either like us or you hate us. There's no in between. The same with Marmite, isn't it? You either like it or you hate it. No in between. We don't have people who kind of like the British. We have people who like us, who absolutely despise us. It's just the fact of life, isn't it, guys? I'm used to it now. I've come to realise that's just who we are. And we can be the most apologetic people in the world, and I think someone will still find a reason to dislike us. So, oh well. Anyway, so as I was saying, so yeah, I don't like how long the burial mounds take to find. So I find that's quite a grindy element. Just trying to get started on the smelting can take a really long time, and I feel like it's a very poorly conceived element, in a sense. Like, there's no like mineral mixing or anything like that. It's just a very you mine the ore, you put it in the smelter, you get the ingots, and that's that. Like, I think like there should be like a copper, like you can like grind down copper or stuff like that, like a different system, which I think would be really cool. But I just can't enjoy it just yet. I think it is in early access, guys, so I think they might increase this spawn amount for burial mounds. I don't know, or maybe decrease the amount of spawns in the Black Forest, which is where you go to find the burial mounds, I might add. And I just can't enjoy that element. It gets really annoying very quickly, and I couldn't get a lot of footage because I'd completed the base game and me building and everything like that, and so it was just like, now what do I do? I've done the base game, what's now? Oh, well, I've done the bases. I want to go and get more ores, but every time I go in the forest, I'm getting killed by everything, and I've got no way of finding stuff because it takes so long to. And yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. I just can enjoy that. So, number. Should I do like the fingers, or do the fingers here, guys? 2. Yeah, you have people that go. Number 2, and makes complete direct eye contact to the camera without even blinking. Bearing in mind. So number 2. So what is my number 2 con? Well, I don't like the detail, guys. I think it could be more detailed for my liking. I don't like the pixelation to it. It just feels a bit cartoonish. Like, I'm all for the whole experience they're going for, the developers, but at the same time I'm sort of like, well, maybe it's alright, maybe not, I don't know. Maybe I can enjoy it, maybe I can't. And I've sort of, I just don't like it. I don't think it's what I expected. I think some people say it's their sort of planned element, which is fine, it's like a vintage feel, but I personally don't like it. I feel like they could do so much better, and it would really add something, something new, because in a sense, like, the blood splatters would like be so much more defined in the character and everything like that, so you could really see, like, have like damage across the character, everything like that, so you can see how injured you are, so you feel a sense of urgency to heal yourself or to rest. And I would really enjoy if they looked at that and thought about ways they can include that and maybe add a little bit more detail. So it doesn't necessarily need to be the graphic elements, maybe adding like an element of if your character gets hit, there's like a blood splatter or anything like that. I'd really enjoy that, but like actual wounds that are visible on the character, I'd really enjoy seeing that. And yeah, that's my number 2 con. I'm sorry guys, I'll always try and offer ways to improve, because I feel like there's enough people going on the saying what's wrong with the world but not offering any solutions to fix the world. And I think that's why I always offer a solution to a con. So if at any point I have not offered a solution to a con, call me out for it in the comment section, and I'll definitely try and figure out a solution, because I pride myself on trying to solve problems. It's sort of who I am as a person, because I think it's very important. As a human being, I input what I can offer to solve a problem, and then someone tells me, oh yeah, that's a good idea, or no, that's a bad idea, or someone takes that idea, sculpts it to suit what they need, and boom, there we go, was problem solved. Anyway, leading on to number 3. Sorry guys, I'm getting too philosophical right here. So number 3, let's get into this. Trolls. People, they've built up a toxic environment as well, which I'll go on about a little bit later, but trolls are too overpowered for me. I'm sorry. Like, they're early game enemies, and it's near impossible to kill them with half the starter tools you get. I find it near impossible. I'll be sitting there like firing off arrows, and by the time I've managed to fire off enough arrows to damage the troll, he's right by me, and one swing of the club, I'm down to low health, and I just know, alright then, I'm about to die. I've tried to swim away from them. They can walk in water. You would have guessed it. I literally have tried to swim away from a troll, and it chased me down and killed me in the water, and then I had to walk all the way back through the forest, which, as you can imagine, was very tedious and annoying, because I got killed twice walking through the forest, and it got to the stage where I was like, sod it, I'm putting infinite health on, I am walking through the forest, I've had enough of this. And yeah, you have to get to a really high level of stress and annoyance for me to want to cheat in a game like this. Yeah, sorry guys, I cheat. I'm not stupid. If there is something about a game which is stopping me from playing the game and enjoying it, I will just find a way to overcome it. Natural human instinct too, isn't it, guys? But yeah, they're just too overpowered. Maybe a solution to that would be like offering like different points of where you can hit on the troll to maximize damage. I think they do have it for headshots, but maybe increasing it to the upper body, like having different points I can hit on the troll where the troll hide is vulnerable. So when I hit it, there's like an instant like debuff, like sort of like saying that the troll's broken its leg or anything like that, maybe stopping it from having so much maneuverability, allowing me to get away to fire off another arrow, then move position, fire off another arrow, because you do take stamina when you fire off arrows, so you really need them to be as effective as possible, because then you also have to get away. And yeah, I'm sorry, that's probably my number 3 con. So number 4, wow, I touched on this. I feel like I don't know whether it's so strong now as it was to start with, but a lot of the toxic people are turning to Valheim, and I hate it, because you'll be asking advice on how to kill a troll, and you have someone go, oh well, trolls are easy. But well, easy as is easy. People go as, and you're like saying to yourself, oh my bloody god, I'm dyslexic and I can bloody spell better than you are right now. I don't see the point in calling something as when you can call it easy and get the same result. But anyway, You get all the toxic people who offer no solutions to the questions you ask for help, and instead will just go, oh well, they're easy anyway, and you're like, but you haven't actually told me how to bloody do it. You're just instead winding me up, annoying me, and making me not want to play the game because I don't have the help available to me to want me to enjoy the game. And I guess the way you counteract that, I guess, is there's not a lot of ways you can stop the toxic players. I think the Valheim developers are now offering, like, they have like a helpline set up. I think that's like a guide where you can ask questions and they'll answer it for you, give you advice on how to do it. And I think that's really helped take away from the toxic environment. I think the only way you can is if you police the game's player base, which I never would agree with. I think it's very important if you have if there is a garnered toxic audience that is playing your game, you necessarily want to have some way of making sure they don't upset people and make them feel outcasted, but at the same time you have to understand free speech is a very important principle, and we should never take that for granted and try and say how we want to police it, because if we're willing to police free speech, there's nothing saying that someone wouldn't turn around and then find a way to police our speech, and it's just an endless cycle of people trying to censor each other. You're seeing it now on Facebook where you have the left trying to censor the right trying to censor the left, and it'll be a constant battle between the two. And it just makes these platforms unfun because people are just trying to have a conversation, a generalised conversation, have to have a political leaning now to hope they get any sort of sense of what's going on in the world right now. But yeah, I said toxic player bases. It's like what, why, how, who. It's sorry guys, I do this every time and I don't really know what to say because of it. It's very hard to deal with a toxic player base, except from just making sure the devs at the forefront and make sure there is help available for those people, so if they feel outcasted by the community, they can instead go to the people they see as role models. And yeah, I guess you could argue that's the way around it, maybe making sure that there is sort of a set rules and guidelines for these forums, so when people go on these forums there's like a set rule and guidelines these people should follow. And I guess that's probably the best way to deal with toxic players. I don't really know, guys. Yeah, that's an interesting one. That one's always the hardest because it's such a controversial topic right now. You can't just offer one solution because you'll be winding up other people. It's such a... So in conclusion of today's honest review of Valheim, I recommend to check out Valheim. Of course, it's got its cons, it's got its pros, but the pros outweigh the cons in this case. And to be perfectly honest with you guys, for the price it is, you are getting what you pay for. With AAA titles right now, that can be very hard to find, and it's just incredible to have a go and play it. I honestly have nothing more to say about the game. It's done itself justice in a sense. When you actually check it out, you see the videos of it on YouTube, you enjoy it, and I generally would recommend it. So make sure once again to like and subscribe today's video. I upload videos every Friday, so that's when you can check out my reviews. They usually come out around about 6 o'clock in the afternoon. That is UK time, if you're wondering. So if you want to put a schedule in, put your calendar in, then you can check me out then, guys. And so thank you very much for watching today. I will see you next time. If you enjoyed today's video, like I just said, you know what to do, guys. I'm off now. I've been HonestBrit. You've been watching Honest Review. I'll see you next time, next Friday. Same time. Bye now, guys.